Hey everyone, a nerd named Mark here, and it's time to go over episode 11 of King-Ohger. And I was curious, now that we had the legend King-Ohger, I was like, man, this is an OP mecha. Like, like how are we gonna balance this out now? Because that it had it was just teleporting and destroying 5 big Bugnarok at the same time. I like how this episode handled and addressed that because, well, the prophecy is continuing. Just where the last episode left off, we see Death Narok and all those Bugnarok in front of him, and I believe I would say like Jeremy, Brazzeri shows up. He's got a little cool Man in Iron mask going on, and Death Narok is repeating this other fairy tale. The 3 greater guardian spirits, friends one and all, will rise into the heavens as if to reach the sun. It is then that the world will be flipped upside down. And I was like, okay. And Jeremy basically shows up and he talks about, that prophecy, and we jump right over because, remember, Gira's still dead. And we see Rackley's and Dabowski, and I love Dabowski, how he is just so shisty. He's talking to Rackley's and he's saying, that it was a miracle that they were able to use King-Ohger, that, Gira's dead, and he happened to just, his people found the body, and that it was actually, there was a criminal in Tofu that was in possession of the body. So he's just like, you know what? The best way to show that this miracle was your doing and everything else is to just basically have a funeral for Gira publicly. And I'm like, all right, this is going to be intriguing. Himeno has a new wig, by the way. Himeno has a new wig. And I saw the scans and this and that, the wig. And I was like, that's a nice wig. I was like, she's changing her hair. I'm not saying I'm simping. Okay? It's just lovely, lovely character. Also, Morphonia is not in this episode, so there's that. But the cool thing is everyone is in Tofu, minus Dabowski, and they're all eating and discussing this funeral and how it should be. And we get some humor. And this was actually really funny. I actually really enjoyed it because we've had some humor in the show, but this was just above and beyond outlandish. And I really enjoyed it because Gira literally, his idea of the funeral, and they go into these fantasy style, in his head while he's explaining of how it would look. And he's basically doing this whole zombie motif. And I was like, all right, that's funny. And then Yanma's just like, no, this is how it should really be. And Gira comes out basically in a cardboard robot suit, and he's like Gira Mark II. And then, he even has a line where it's every dude wants to become a robot. And I'm like, dude, that's not entirely wrong. That'd be kind of cool. And then even him and O's where Gira's more of this godly resurrected figure. The only one who didn't get one is Rita. But like I said, that was all really entertaining. I enjoyed it because it kind of gives you a little more of their personality and their humorous side to an extent. I mentioned Rita because I really hate how we're getting so little of Rita's personality and depth to that character. And I've always bring up, there's gonna be that moment where we're gonna get that morality versus following the law and being this judge and jury. There's gonna be that conflict at some point. I'm waiting for it because there's this whole scene where Himeno was explaining how they have this kids show called Me and Muffin, which is obviously the stuffed animals that Rita has a whole entire room dedicated to. And Himeno's explaining the most recent episode of this, and Rita just screams and leaves. And when Rita's outside, they pull out the little mini Muffin, and they're like, I haven't seen the newest episode yet this week. And then a little Muffin's like, yeah, no spoilers. And I'm like, all right, see, we're getting these hints. Rita gets this little thing, and I'm like, peel back those layers, because I know when it happens, Rita's character, there's gonna be a lot of depth there, and I think it's gonna be really good. But as of right now, I'm just like, man, we're getting so little, but it works with the dynamic of everyone else's personalities, so I can't really complain too much to an extent. So, my main thing about this whole entire thing is we're 11 episodes in, and I was just like, man, like the pacing of the show is really good. I'm really digging it, but like I said, we're 11 episodes in, and we've already gotten a lot. Like, let's be realistic here. The Bugnarok aren't the end all be all villains, especially Death because like he's like I just don't know how they could extend that out more past like maybe 25 episodes. Honestly, I mean you can milk it, but they don't seem to be milking anything in the show. And the main example is during the funeral. So the funeral doesn't go exactly as everyone planned because when they go to open the coffin with the big gear reveal, you see it won't open. And we see like this tinsel thread, like a spider's silk web, so to speak, keeping it shut. And Jeremy shows up. And I was like, okay. And this whole, like, the mask is so cool. Like, I want a 3D print of that mask. That mask is pretty cool, I'm not going to lie. And even Rackley's confronts him. So Rackley's asked, are you on the side with the Bugnarok and this and that? And basically, Jeremy confirms, he's with the Bugnarok, and he steals a coffin and just dips out of there. And I was just like, what is he? Because he's able to run up the wall. He's basically, web slinging, no pun intended, I don't know what to call it, flying, and he escapes. And another, the humor seems really interesting in this episode because we had the whole like hey, how would the funeral go situation, which was entertaining. Then Jerry and Gira are talking because he lets Gira out, and Gira's like, I'm against the Bugnarok and the filth, and I was just like, okay. But then Jerry goes into this whole thing explaining excrement and poop. Even Gira's like, are you talking about poop? Like, even I was just like, this is a weird conversation because Jerry's basically pointing out the like the positive sides from poop, like how you can learn about people's health and this and that. And I'm sitting here all the time like, we get a poop conversation about poop. Okay. Like, I didn't think we were gonna get something like that, but I was like, you know what? It reminded me of the Scrubs episode when they were just talking about poop the whole entire time when they were singing the musical episode. And they were constantly like, yo, your stomach hurts, check the poop. Leg hurts, check the poop, which still doesn't make any sense, honestly, but that's besides the point. But, and after this whole poop conversation, it ends with Jeremy basically asking Gira, do you think the Bugnarok are really the enemies of humanity? And you see the giant Bugnarok attacking the city. Gira goes to turn back to Jeremy. He's gone. And so Gira summons the legend King-Ohger. And like I brought up in the beginning video, like this is an OP mecha. So I don't understand. Like, so I was like, how are they like going forward? This is going to be like a cakewalk for everybody, right? But they handled it really well. After defeating the giant Bugnarok, some giant spores appear. And we find out, because Death shows up that last episode, when the Legend King-Ohger was fighting all the other different Bugnarok, that this Bugnarok that was just defeated before it was grown big infected the King-Ohger and the Shoe Gods with some parasites that were growing over time. So this was already planted in, and they explode, damaging and separating all the Shoe Gods. And then Death one of the cocoons grew up out of the ground, but it was like almost like a Venus flytrap or like one of the chomping flower things from the pipes in Mario, and it just scoops up all three of the greater Shoe Gods, and is holding them upright. And then we get Death once again, saying this was the whole plan, and he recites the fairy tale line that says the three greater guardian spirits, friends one and all, will rise high into the heavens as if to reach the sun. It is then that the world will be flipped upside down. But nothing happens. And then we pan in, Jeremy's on top of this cocoon holding the three Shoe God like souls of the greater legend Shoe Gods, and just dips out. Like I said, like Jeremy has these like weird powers, like telekinesis or something, because we had the coffin that was sealed shut. When before Rackley's was talking, when the guards were confronting him, he was able to be like stop, and they froze. They were like bound up, and so I feel like he's got some actual like powers as a human or something. I don't know yet. I'm curious to learn more about this character, honestly, because Death Rock shows up and he's just like all confronting him, and he just points at him and says, "Don't move," and he's frozen. And I'm like, "What?" I was like, "That's crazy." And this whole tale, so to speak, was basically a treasure that was a key, because Jeremy says the same lines after putting the shoe god souls into his little bug spray canister, and it gives him the key, and he's like, "This is the secret treasure." And he's able to take off his mask, and we get the reveal. Oh my god! Okay, listen, we saw the scans, right? But seeing it in the show, the drip, damn! Like, I like the Yanma's drip, but like this is top tier Toku drip. Like, I don't think there's gonna be any characters that can like out drip this man for quite some time, honestly, because that is just kudos. So, uh, he ends up just blowing up Death Rock, like, but he says fake, so I'm not sure if that was a real Death Rock or not. Um, Another cool thing was his mask that was on the ground. When he goes to reach for it, it turns into his dagger, also. And I was like, awesome. And while everyone is like shocked at the explosion of Death Rock, he escapes, and as he's walking away, because Jeremy has been the narrator this whole time, we get the re-narration of the beginning thing where it says, "This is the story of those kings who would fight to defend the peace of Terra, and the man who will become a king." And then there's a new ending, because Jeremy says, "Yes, indeed, it's my story." And I was like, so the story isn't Gira who would become king. It is actually Jeremy. And I was like, you know what? This was good. I like this a lot. Like, not like the fact that there wasn't really that much action in this episode, but it was more, okay, let's have some humor, let's have some fun with it at the same time, still with the debut and reveal of our sixth Sentai. Like, I was like, this is so good. I liked it a lot. I'm curious where things are going to go now, especially now that we find out this is Jeremy's story. So I was like, damn, all right. uh, but yeah, this episode was really good. I really liked it. If you have any thoughts on it, let me know in the comments below. Fire truck. I was ambulance. This was a really good episode. I really enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below what you thought. I'm really like, this is every episode there's something that like draws me in more to liking this show. As of right now, my Udos are on their way from Japan. I can't wait to put those together and put them up on display. Obviously, I have the King-Ohger there, and then the Legend Greater Shoe Gods come out next month. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what you thought of the episode. Don't forget to like the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.